Yeah, you have to get in underneath this and get in under that and flip that open.
Okay.
And
right. Then that's child resistant.
And really tough for arthritic hands, by the way.
Yes, but some are just too freaking hard to open.
They are.
The bags are no problem, but there are plastic containers that literally you have to push two ends and then push over here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Push a little thing in the side and then slide it out and then open.
To be certified child resistant, it's a under 5 cannot open it, and over 6'5" can barely open it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, where we speak the language of cannabis freely and uncensored, while educating our audience on safe use of this live plant therapy. You should know what's in your cannabis, what's good and what's not, because cannabis does not come with an FDA stamp of approval, yet. The information you will find here comes straight from scientists and clinicians, doing the work and reporting their findings in reputable outlets. Hopefully, we can inspire you to research the facts as we know them today. Cannabis is an amazing alternative in health remedies, with the potential to alleviate typical disease problems and troubling side effects, even those caused by synthetic prescriptions. Here now is the host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast. She is a 21st century cannabis shaman, not a doctor, not a scientist. Raised by nuns and wolves in the verdant cattle pastures of the Oklahoma oil fields, here to amplify the truth of this great big story of cannabis in historical, political, scientific, and spiritual terms, so you can make educated decisions about the medicine you choose to ingest. Please welcome Honey Smith Walls.
Welcome to the Cannabis Truth Podcast. I cannot tell you how delighted I am to have another leading woman in this industry talk to us about all the stuff that's going on in your world. And won't you please, dear heart, just introduce yourself to our audience and tell us about it.
Yes, I'd love to.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Stacy Lukac. It's actually pronounced. It looks like Lukac, but it's actually Lukac.
Thanks for letting me know, Lucas.
Blame my husband for that one. But I have been in the cannabis industry now for almost 8 years in the child packaging. I believe in regulations. I believe in keeping your product safe. So child-resistant packaging was my passion to go into, but it was also my passion because I started my business in the state of Idaho. 7 years ago, I was like, I got to get into this industry. You know, this is like major market. This is going to boom. If there's any kind of niche to get into, that would be it. So because of the state of Idaho, what could I get into? It was packaging was the only thing that I could sneak away getting into, although it has not been an easy road to be on, because just as of yesterday, I was notified that my bank will be closing my accounts because of the industry that I'm in. And see, I moved from Idaho to a small town in Brookings. And that's what's happening again, because we still don't have the support from our federal government. We still don't have our safe banking. So even my part of the industry isn't safe. So it's kind of frustrating, but I will plug on forward. You know, I didn't hide in the state of Idaho for 6 years not to succeed.
Right. Right. And the laws are just ridiculously
oh my gosh, you know, I work with every state. Anybody who wants help with their packaging, that's what I'm here for. There are a lot of avenues. Unfortunately, the U.S. does not make a lot of the packaging. Child resistant requires a lot of labor, a lot of hands-on. So the United States will probably never come on board with some of this packaging that we're being forced into. I mean, it's ridiculous, all the different laws. Like Vermont, for example. Vermont is no plastic whatsoever. Yet Tide, any of the other industries, ketchup, any kind of product can go into Vermont in a plastic bottle except for cannabis. It's ridiculous. Do
you have any idea why they came to that determination?
Just to make it harder for the industry to succeed.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just roadblocks that they find to stop things. I mean,
Right.
look at the regulations just changed in New Jersey again. I mean, it's a hard thing to stay up on.
Yeah.
So with the packaging, what I like to do is I like to help people with that. People, you shouldn't put too much on your packaging. You should keep it as generic as you can, because you never know when the laws are going to change again. And if you print what's the law and what's on the box or the tube or the glass, then you've got to redo it or sticker it, and that looks really bad. You don't want to cover things up like that. So I try to help people navigate their packaging and make sure that, they're cost effective. I've been an accountant for 35 years. That's how I decided to get into cannabis. Is I was tired of making other people money, and I wanted to make my own, find my. So I know what's important to make sure that your margins are there for your profits. I know how to take people and break down their costs. Let's figure it out. Where can we save? 280E, people want to know what kind of expenses that they can write off. Well, packaging is one. Direct expenses can be written off.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so packaging.
Oh, that's so juicy. Packaging can be written off when practically nothing else can be. That 280E audience that Stacy just mentioned is snafu in the laws that goes, probably around the world, not just in the U.S., but in the U.S., if you're bound by 280E laws, then there's no banking, there's no credit card use, there's no marketing to be had. Extremely limited marketing abilities in the cannabis industry.
Exactly.
And so, if I could just let you in on a little teeny tiny story too. When I was down in Florida for the past 35 years, and when I started my podcast, I too could not get a bank account under the name of Cannabis Truth. So I went Latin and changed my formal business name to Cannabiverum, which is Cannabis Truth in Latin. And they were fine with that because they didn't know what it meant, So that's the only way I've been able to have a bank account in any real bank under the name of my business name is in Latin that they don't understand.
I love my local bank, but unfortunately I got caught. It's Federal Reserve, secured. So I got caught, but at least I got, into Oregon, got changed over. It's a game we have to play. It's ridiculous.
I don't even touch the plant. And they couldn't open an account. Said N-A-B-I-S.
Yeah, for 6 years in Idaho, I had to hide because of the no tolerance law. So even the packaging with my customer's name on it was considered paraphernalia. So yeah, I hid for 6 years in Idaho. I'm not hiding here. I did, even my local bank found one that's cannabis friendly. The only problem with that is cannabis friendly banks have all of these extra fees.
Oh, yeah.
To protect them. It's just ridiculous. I didn't want to do it. I'm in packaging.
Yeah.
And they want to charge me $500 to open an account to use my money. I just don't get it, So
that is just rude.
I think so. I think it's really rude. The banks make enough money off of us, but now you want to charge me an additional $500 that I'll never get back and I can't use. No, I don't think I'm going to use your bank.
I don't think so either. I don't think a woman thought that up either.
Oh, please.
Just
no.
Hi, Honey Smith Walls here. I'm host of the Cannabis Truth Podcast, weekly for the past 6 years. But today I'm inviting you to a Facebook group called the Holistic Relief Summit, in hopes that you too will come for the peace and stay for the epiphanies. It's a beautiful space for women to find all kinds of relief from all kinds of suffering. Come join us for free.
Well, hello, I'm Dr. Philip Blair, and I want to introduce you to Honey Smith Walls. And she recently had an experience with beta-caryophyllene.
For years, I've been dealing with lots of arthritis pain and pain from neuropathy that has not been resolved through other prescriptive methods. As an advocate educator in the cannabis industry, I learn lots of interesting information about the compounds within the plants, and one of those turned out to be beta-caryophyllene.
What was your first dose like?
I was gobsmacked. Absolutely gobsmacked. It has given me my future back.
I want to get it out to everybody too. I want to get it out to the whole world, as a matter of fact. It has so many mitigating factors for all the stresses of life and pain and diseases. It is unbelievable, the spectrum of care that it can provide.
Hey, let me show the difference in packaging, if I may, to our audience members who are going to be seeing this on YouTube. This is the kind of packaging, plain, white, simple, that I would get down in Florida. This is from the Fluent company, and it's just plain, very plain. It used to have my name written on there, and then you just
and that's for flower.
pop it open, and inside would be live flower out of this one. Up here, the plainest packaging I can find comes from a health food store, not a recreational cannabis store or dispensary. And this is how it comes. This is hemp, but it's got an ounce of really great hemp in it, and it has a listing of the major cannabinoids right on in large letters that we old farts can see. And so I'm really impressed with that, because there's nothing going on that we can see or read on the outside of a packaging of any kind. But
now, what product is that? That's not an edible product, though?
It's live flower. It's
live flower.
It's hemp flower, and it's probably got a little more THC in it than the 0.3% that you can only get.
It's 7. I was surprised on that.
Right, because in fact, I think this might be a 1-to-1. This is THC. Oh, THC Delta 9, 17%.
Right.
So that's a pretty big damn deal in hemp. Right. And it's great for
regulate on Delta 9 like they should. Delta 9 is more of a synthetic, right? I mean, I'm not a big person on knowing the science on how they grow the weed.
Oh no, Delta 9's the real thing. It's Delta 8 you're thinking of.
Okay. So Delta 9 is the real stuff, and yet it doesn't have to be packaged in Florida. It doesn't have to be packaged in child resistant. Or
isn't that interesting? Because there's no child resistant anything on here.
I don't know that that's actually illegal.
Yeah. And these from Fluent, they're not child resistant. You just pop them open.
No, those are considered child resistant.
No shit.
No shit. Those are legally child resistant. Those are certified child resistant pop tops. Okay. But the other one is not.
But the other one's not. It's just, you just screw it off. It had a little piece of tape over it, but
that's just tamper evident. That's not child resistant. So child resistant means it's resealable child resistant. So once it comes off, that's tamper evident if that doesn't go back on to child resistant again.
Okay.
Big difference.
So, but they do, but down in Florida, they would put this in a child resistant bag that you have to rip the top off of before you get into this. So I do remember that.
That's still tamper evident. Is it? Do you rip the top off and then you have to really?
And then you have to get in underneath this and get in under that and flip that open. And
then that's child resistant.
And that's really child and really tough for arthritic hands, by the way.
Yeah, see, that's another thing that I like to do for people is I've tested a lot of products, and there is a lot of really cool stuff out there, you know, and I'm not going to say names and brands because I don't want to do that to people because everybody worked really hard on what they're trying to make for the industry.
Yeah.
But some are just too freaking hard to open.
They are. And I get my big old scissors out and I lop those tops off of that stuff, or I'll, you know, if I have
the bags are easy. I mean, the bags are no problem, but there are plastic containers that literally you have to push two ends and then push over here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Push a little thing in the side and then slide it out and then open the thing.
Buttons are so painful to push on. I mean, it's like serious, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do too, is I try to find the stuff that, okay, it's certified, it's child resistant, but oh my God, we can open it. You know, no, a child may not be opening it, but at least a senior can.
Right.
And when they register child resistant and to be certified child resistant, basically it's a under 5 cannot open it, and over 65 can barely open it.
Yeah. Okay? That's the truth. I want to show you up here in Michigan where it's recreational. We don't have these, you know, there's still a teeny tiny medical program, but we don't have anything that looks like this. When you go in to buy medicinally, you're still buying recreational products. They just have a few set aside for you that they've decided will be called their medicinal cannabis. And they give you a little teeny tiny bit of more information about that product, but not much.
Once recreational hits the market, it really takes over the medical.
And this is what you get to buy. You get to buy pink pussy, and you get to buy unicorn poop, and you get to buy biscotti stuff. And yes, these have, and you can see I've ripped them off. They have child-proof packaging, but they're made for kids. They're appealing to kids. I can't talk to a patient about going in and buying pink pussy for their medicinal needs. You know, I just can't do it. So I send people to the health food store instead and say, go talk to these people who have a real education about cannabis. And, you know, what they've got will probably do more good for you than any of this stuff.
Most states do that.
Right.
Okay. Michigan is one state that is so relaxed on their artwork for their packaging. It's crazy. Most states do not get to do that. Most states have to be in plain packaging. Some states allow you to see the product. Other states, no, you don't even get to see the product. It has to be opaque and you cannot see the product. So every is different, and Michigan is the funniest. I have seen some artwork from Michigan that I was like, wow, you put down the shelves.
Exactly. I'm shocked by what I see in Michigan dispensaries up here. And you can go in and they've got, you know, wall-to-wall cases, bookcases of great big jars with a ton of weed in it. And they'll pop the top off and shove it under your nose, under your flu, bacteria, you know, back flushing breath, you know, nasal breath.
So bad. Not to mention the fact that every time they open the jar, they dry it out.
You know, I'm just like, how can you think this way when you know, that air degrades cannabis? Why would you keep opening, a big pound jar of it?
That's the way Oregon sells it, though. That's the way Oregon sells it too. Is they don't have prepackaged flour. Every dispensary that you go into, it's in a jar, and they let you smell it, and then you get to put it in that pop top thing that is in your hand. That's what it's all over Oregon. That's the way it goes.
I won't do it. You can't make me.
I'm not a flower person. I don't smoke flower. Now, I'm a partaker, that's for sure. I like my edibles, and I finally got my 84-year-old father to start using them. Yay!
Bravo! Congratulations. And he feels better now, right?
Well, I started, almost 8 years ago, and I've been pushing for it. They wouldn't help me with my business. They wanted nothing to do with it. Of course, and even my husband was just like, what are you doing? I mean, I literally quit smoking for 17 years because my husband said that or me. So I was like, okay, well, weed's not that important to me. I was young. I was in my 20s. So, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, fine. I can get rid of that. Well, 17 years later, it's like, okay, I'm feeling some pain. And my sister came out to visit, and I smoked some with her, and I was like, oh, yeah. And I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
We're back to it. What are you going to do? Divorce me after 17 years?
Yeah.
And at this point, because of the way that things have changed, because weed is so different.
Yeah.
Marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it, it is so different.
Yeah.
And you do have to be careful because edibles and your tolerances go up. So like packaging in the state of Oregon is completely different for an edible. As you can see on the back, it's called freezable. I created a child-resistant ice cream bowl. Yeah.
You did?
I did. It's called freezable, and it's for ice cream. It's a child-resistant lid, so it goes in the freezer, and it child-resistant, so it is a spin top. It's also compostable. So I went as far as plastic compostable. I'm having trouble.
Amazing! I love hearing this. Saving the earth as well, girl. That's
I wanted to go. Let's go all the way to the future. Let's not just be. I mean, I lived in Idaho and started this business. Okay, I was looking for the future. I was really hoping that this administration would bring us a future, sooner. But that ain't gonna happen, is it? But even with Musk loving marijuana, apparently he's not supporting us anymore.
I can't keep up with the rotating thoughts on this plant in legislature and and social media leaders, if you will. He's whatever you want to call him in particular, or any of his cohorts. That handful of people who are actually running the world. I don't know what they're thinking, other than just keep it all in chaos in order to keep
so confused and through chaos, so that they can do things that we don't even know that they're doing. Is the way I feel.
That's the way I feel too.
What's going on? It's like throwing things out there so we're distracted.
Yeah.
So it's very scary what's going on, and I'm just going to keep my head down and try and move forward, and hopefully
that's what I'm doing, Stacy. I no longer listen to the news or watch television, shows that start off with murdering and raping women. Don't do that anymore. I don't do that to my psyche. I'm real careful about what I'm allowing inside, information now. I'm 70. I don't want to be afraid for the rest of my life because of this planet.
Right.
There's so much beauty in this planet. And now that we understand better how to help ourselves through the typical aches and pains that we suffer as humans, especially as women.
The side effects of other
That's right.
Killing our livers and killing everything else in our body.
Yes.
Yes. No, I agree. I am not only a participant, I'm not only the president. Exactly. I am a participant. So. Exactly. But yes, no, I totally believe in the plant. When I was 40 years old, I slid into second base, broke my leg in 3 places, and literally tore my foot off. So I have a lot of metal in my leg, and I have chronic pain, and I'm an athlete. I've been an athlete all my life. So I'm almost 60 now. So I really feel it. I feel it in my joints. I feel it.
Yeah.
I really do. And if anybody wants to say, and I believe in cannabis, and I believe that they belong together. The CBD and the THC has to go together. Yeah. And the reason I believe that is, and the best way that I explain it to the elderly people that I know, because my husband is 74. So our friends, they're all older, and we're all getting older. I'm almost 60. For God's sakes, right?
That's just it. My husband was 22 years older than me. All his old fart friends were the same age as he was, and I watched them die slowly, painfully, and unnecessarily. because
Right.
they just weren't doing for
Right.
themselves what they
The
could
options weren't
have.
there. The
Right.
options weren't there.
Right.
So, and that's why I truly believe in it too, you know. And my husband to this day, the one that said no, 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 he's like, "Oh, honey, do you need some? I'll go get it for you."
That's great.
It is.
That
Understand.
is super.
He understands that, you know, I work
Yeah.
hard, and the anxiety of just being in business alone,
Yeah.
and stress of everything, and the, you know, I wouldn't function. I need a good sativa for the day and a good indica for the night, because
Exactly. And
But see, I work
choosing your products specifically for your needs, your issues, and the time of day is so important to understand.
it really is.
Yeah.
And we can do packaging too. That's what I really like about how I can help you with the packaging, is
Yeah.
because I do understand. Because I am a participant, I see what runs off the shelves in the dispensaries, you know. I
Right.
go to dispensaries and I buy, so what catches my eye, what's new. I like to show things off, you know, and show people what we've got.
Yes.
I have this really cool box. Can I go get it? I'll be right
Yes,
back.
please. Yes, of course. I'm tickled to understand more and more about what you're doing, and I love that you even got into this part of the industry. It's just so needed, and the clarity that you will help bring to it is going to be very special. It is very special. It really.
I have a lot of knowledge in the industry as far as where to manufacture things, where to cut out the 2 and 3 distributors. So, you know, you're paying for, you know, America doesn't manufacture any of this. Even when they say they do, it's still coming from like Mexico, or it's coming from Canada. It might be coming from, you know, North America, not necessarily the USA territory. So
Wow.
there are a few companies. In fact, there's one in Illinois that does like those pop tops that you have.
Yeah.
You know, so there are a few companies that can come on board like that. But see, those are mold type of products, okay?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They're molds. But when you have a piece of product that has to be hand put together, we're not going to put the labor into something like that, okay? The labor into putting things together, it's too much of a cost. We're not going to put $15 an hour to put a 50-cent box together with a button on it and a
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And then you pull this thing out, and it's got to be pulled out all the way. And then this opens up, and then there's not only matches that go in here, but joints that, you know, are pre-rolls that go in here. And those are all hand done.
Exactly. Those are all hand done. They have to be put together, all paper. So like Vermont forced into paper products like this, you know?
Right.
It's just crazy on the products, but there are a lot of fun things out there.
More packaging. You know, this one, this was a vape pen. And so then you've got this plastic thing, and then you've got a vape pen that lives in here.
That's child resistant though, right?
Sorry?
That did not look child resistant though.
Not at all.
Right.
Not at all child resistant.
Okay, I'm going to take my background off, and I'm going to show you a few products that I've worked on.
Oh, I'd love to see. Okay, great. Thanks.
So let's
tell here.
Let me get my technology going, and please excuse the background. It is a working office.
It's okay. Mine too. Get that.
I'm also working on my family's photo, my outfit, my Roman dress. Okay, so this you can see a lot better. This is one of a box that I love. Okay, the jar inside of it is child resistant, but this is a box that sits on the counter like this.
Yeah.
Take the top off.
Uh-huh.
And then the bowl. Oops, I'm going to drop it. Okay. Here's the jar that has a flower.
Okay.
It's got a child resistant lid, so you have to push down and crank it. Okay. Spins. But look at this box. It starts here and it opens up and it turns in.
That is beautiful.
to a bowl.
It turns in, it's a piece of artwork though, and it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And now it's a working bowl if you want to take some flour out and roll your joints right in your lap because you're traveling.
And you've got a little kit and you don't have to spill any of your flour and all of that stuff.
Isn't that the coolest thing?
It is gorgeous. I bet
I love that kind of stuff. And, you know, I want to help people create things like this. And I can do that because this would not be made in the United States. No way. Not even the jar. We don't even take the time to make the jars in the United States.
But could we effectively start a little company, you know, of paper products like that for packaging here in the United States?
You know, I asked a company that did die cuts and different things, and he's the one who told me that the labor's too intense. We'll probably never do that because of it. Now, if you can figure out more child-resistant paper products without having 10 to 20 parts to it, then I'm sure we could figure out something. But with all the parts that are made to make something child-resistant, let me grab a few other things.
Yeah.
That you can see.
It just seems like it's cutting and pasting. I mean, didn't we learn that in first grade? And why can't we shove these, you know, supplies into women who are not working and need, you know, a financial income?
Right.
Why can't we do this?
I don't understand it.
I don't you know,
I do understand it though. We have labor that is too expensive, but we have to because we have to survive. Oh wow, that's a horrible picture of me.
No, it's great. I love seeing all of your work table and all of your supplies and stuff. It's so fun to see.
I try to keep samples around, so if somebody wants a sample, I can send it. So I've spent years gathering.
I hear you, girl. We're good at that. Women are good at that.
Right. I mean, I've invented things. I've worked in a lot of different industries or parts of the industry too. And what I don't know, I will find out.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Love that attitude.
You know, if I don't know it, I'll find it. If you have a product that you're looking for, send me a picture and I'll try and find it, you know. And sometimes I succeed and other times I don't to be able to produce it because a lot of companies are getting smart about their packaging and buying molds and producing it directly for themselves. So
is that the most economic way to do packaging now?
I believe so. I think it is. I like to say I'm your liaison to the manufacturer. If you put something that is unique to your brand and only you buy it, it doesn't make sure that, unless it's in large quantity, you can't buy something, you know, and spend $5,000 on a mold for a product if you're only going to buy 10,000 a year on something.
Right.
It's too small. It's not cost effective that way. But if you're a company that buys, you know, 500,000 pieces every 6 months, then that's the time. That's the company that should invest in their own type of packaging, you know, and go direct. But anything that's made that isn't patent can be reproduced at the manufacturing and save you a ton of cost. And that's what I do for people. Because I not only work during the day when I'm talking to America, I work between the hours of like 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. so that I can talk to China for you, so that I can get direct answers immediately. Waiting 2, 3, 4 days for somebody to respond to me is very irritating, and I would never do it. You know, so I try to get the quickest answers that I can for you. And if I don't get an answer, at least you get a response. Hey, didn't get the answer, but I'll have more information later. You know, I'm working on this. I've got this much, but I don't have it right. Because I negotiate. I make sure that you get the best price. Yes. I don't just settle for what they're saying. I'm like, hey, can you do a little bit better than that? You know, check a different freight forwarder. And that's another thing that you got to be real careful when you manufacture to China and go in. You're busy. Let somebody like me take care of you, because watching those freight, making sure that the shipping is coming, making sure that they do it correctly, making sure that they don't pick the wrong port to go into.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, because the one thing that I have found out in the years that I've done this, because I work with large companies and small companies. So my sales was like 750,000 jars at a time. So that comes on an entire boat, a couple containers on their own. This is major ship.
Yes.
But in the wintertime, do not pick the East Coast. I don't care if your customer's in Boston. Do not ship it to Boston. Do not ship to...
Think of that, but you.
Well, I've been there. I've had problems. I've lost customers because something like that's out of my complete control.
Oh my goodness.
But because it's 3 weeks late, because there's a hurricane hitting the East Coast,
right.
boat has to sit out in the sea for weeks at a time waiting for the hurricane to pass so it can quickly get in before the next one. And you've got all this bogged down at the coast and at the ports. Yeah, it gets slow, and customs slows down, and there's lots of problems. So in the wintertime, I ship everything to LA, and then I truck it across the United States. But that also brings money more to the American-based trucker.
Yes, I love that. That's
get away from the sea people that are charging us way too much
people.
And give it to the trucker by dropping everything in LA. Well, LA right now is kind of like slowed down because of the fires, and the port's really slow for a couple weeks, so that took a bit. But no matter what, you always have to have. There's always problems.
Yes.
And a person like me taking care of those, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I'm watching it. I'll update you. As soon as I get a notice from the shipping company, I update you. You never have to worry about your shipments.
It sounds like an incredibly important job that facilitates an immense amount of detail.
It can be, yes.
Just to get it to you. Right.
Yeah. It can be, it's why the U.S. companies will charge for, twice as much or 3 times as much what the product they bought it for, because of the hassle that they had to go to get it here. So,
wow.
And get this, people, I was so frustrated through the years of COVID and the costs, and people blaming the administration for inflations and different things like that, and our price hikes, and then our shrinkage problem and all of this stuff. Well, that started with the large companies, but it also started because the shipping companies during that time, when a container used to cost, and now finally does again, $7,800 for a full container, during COVID went up to $25,000 per container. Yeah.
That's insane. I had no idea.
Nobody talks about these kind of things, So for 4 years, the shipping companies, boy, they got their money, didn't they?
Yeah. But boy, I bet a lot of companies had to eat their profits.
Mm-hmm. No, they pushed it on to us. They called it shrinkage. They reduced everything. They changed it. If they were going to pay for a container, how do we get less containers over the sea? Okay, let's just shrink the bottle just a little bit. A lot of factors that went into packaging that changed.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, there's a lot of things that you've got to watch. At that time, it would have been really good for America to get on board and start manufacturing some of the stuff over here just to save that $25,000 a container. But we didn't do it because it's still cheaper to go overseas.
Wow. Even with that, is there any company too small for you to work with?
No.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
I prefer the bigger ones, of course.
Of course. But
no.
New companies are starting up all the time because of the fluctuations and laws around the country that are putting one business out, and another one is created in its place. So
Right.
turnover in business has just got to be.
Every state is problems with that. The licenses being sold and closed. I mean, Oregon, California, they're suffering big time because of the lack of federal involvement, because of the lack of safe banking, because of we're doing it by the law.
And we're still not even federal.
Look at me. I'm only in packaging, and just yesterday, my banks are kicking me out. So
yeah, I'm only in podcasting and lecturing, and my Square, financial thingy that allows me to do business online said, nah, not you. You're in cannabis. And I'm like, what? I just talk about it.
Yeah, I had Stripe. I had Stripe.
Me too. I had Stripe first and then Square.
Yeah. Well, I had a Canadian company and some thieves steal $25,000 from me. So I have jumped a lot. I have overcome a lot to still be here because I want to support the industry.
Yeah.
I believe in the industry. I want to support the industry. And, I want to make it better for me and my children. And, the medicine is important. Even my 84-year-old father finally agrees that he doesn't sleep without his meds now.
Ooh, don't you love that? Isn't it just juicy?
Yeah, it is. It is, because that's the generation that we're fighting against the stigma, Of
course, poor things. And then they're so afraid of being woozy because it'll make them fall. And
my dad's afraid to try sativa for the day because, my dad is so afraid to try sativa for the day because he doesn't want to become an addict. Okay.
Oh, an addict. He's still
worried about being an addict. A drug addict.
God love him.
Oh, I know.
It's so hard to work through that stigma and the things that we think we know and understand. That's why I tell everybody, don't believe everything you think. It just ain't true.
Your generation, my husband's generation, my parents' generation, my generation, the later part, still want to believe doctors. Okay?
Yeah.
I try to remind people that doctors are only practicing medicine.
Right.
They even claim that they only practice. They don't really know what they're doing.
We don't understand that. We've been led to believe that there are little demigods and know everything about our bodies that we don't.
Exactly right. And no, they're not. They're not. Really not. My husband was diagnosed by a local office here with shingles.
Oh, God.
They never stripped him down. They never said, we should take we should look at your body and see if something's going on, right?
Right.
Never. Just the computer says it. The lab testing says this is what you have. So this is what you have. So he got some kind of rash. It was crusty. It looked like shingles. We started to treat it for shingles. It ended up being like a staph infection that we put all over his body because we thought we were treating him with lotions for shingles.
Oh, God.
Almost killed him. I mean, his blood pressure went down to 70/50.
Oh, my Lord.
Almost killed him because we treated him for shingles because that's what they said they had, but they never looked at his body. I don't trust doctors.
It's hard to after stuff like that.
It really is. I have high blood pressure, and my family always has high blood pressure. I went to a doctor, and he prescribed Sudafed for me.
Sudafed? It's an allergy cold medication.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. I had a cold, so he wanted me to use Sudafed. Well, I have a high blood pressure. I didn't even look at my chart. Sudafed's like one of the worst ones you can use.
For blood pressure, right.
Blood pressure. I mean, ibuprofen, Sudafed, all those things are really bad for our bodies, even though they supposedly take care of the pain. And I'll give Tylenol. Tylenol does pretty good, but nothing, does better than marijuana. So supporting the industry is important.
It's definitely changed my life. Yeah. and all the people I know around me who, choose to start taking responsibility for their own health instead of giving their complete and total bodily power over to a doctor, which is what I was trained to do, conditioned to do. You feel bad, go to the doctor, let him tell you what's wrong with you and get a pill.
Yeah.
So, but
and it's true. I mean, I see that. My parents, my husband, it's that generation that we're supposed to believe our doctors.
Yeah, for sure. Well, tell us, darling, how can a company get in touch with you so that you can begin helping them with their own cannabis
I'd love to meet with
packaging?
Anybody. Yes, I would love to meet with anybody that would like to get into the packaging. Right now is very important if you want to hit the 420 mark. So we better start designing and getting that packaging made right away. So contact me as soon as possible. But you can find me on LinkedIn, Stacy Lukac, Lukac, Stacey is my first name. You can find me at msnpackaging.com. That's my website. Or you can even call me at 542-813-2662.
Say it again.
541-813-2662.
And that's msnpackaging.com. msnpackaging.com. Stacy, you are such a
Marijuana Supply Networks.
Yes, you are such a treat. Marijuana Supply Networks. That's what MSN stands for. msnpackaging.com.
That's correct.
Loved having you here. So tickled I found on LinkedIn. They are an amazing tribe of medical professionals and advocates like me and professionals in the cannabis industry, which is huge. The cannabis industry is so broad. It covers absolutely anything you can think of.
It's not going away. Whether the federal gets on board, it's not going away.
It's not going anywhere because it's already made good billions of dollars for so many people around the globe. And it's already helped so many people around the globe medicinally. And so, and we forget the U.S. would not have even been started had it not been for cannabis. You can't shove a boat across an ocean without using hemp for sails and rope. Right. So, America's first settlers were told to grow cannabis so that we could start our first navy.
Yeah.
We paid our taxes in
That's part of the problem.
Hemp. We fed our animals and ourselves on hemp. Hemp is, the hemp seed is a whole plant food that you can.
It's a way to save our planet too.
Yeah. So all that stuff, I know you know it, but I love saying it anyway, just for.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
Darling, it's been such a treat to have you here. Will you come back anytime there's some new fabulous thing? Okay, super.
All right.
It's wonderful to chat with you, and I'll see you on LinkedIn and anywhere else we can hook up, okay?
Sounds good. All right.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to another Cannabis Truth Podcast with 21st century cannabis shaman Honey Smith Walls. Using cannabis mindfully as medication is a different concept in Western healthcare philosophy, specifically over the past century. There's a lot to learn and reconsider. The scientific truth of cannabis is finally getting out and is wide open for all to see at respected medical sites like the National Library of Medicine at pubmed.gov and the Journal of American Medical Association at JAMAnetwork.com. We here at the Cannabis Truth Podcast are right there in the thick of it, alongside the titans of medicine, as a fly on the wall. We are not doctors, nor did we go to medical school, but we have taken dozens of private cannabis courses and still engage in continuing education offered by expert cannabis scientists. Over the past few years, we slowly began to see and understand the bigger picture. Now we hear from people all day long about cannabis. It is so important to use verifiably safe products. The process of getting a diagnosis from your family doctor and taking your records to a cannabis specialist can lead you to the correct cannabinoid therapy for your specific issues. Otherwise, you're simply your own guinea pig looking for answers without the foundational knowledge or ability to determine your best strategy. To find a qualified cannabis expert in your area, visit cannabisclinicians.org. This is a national society of cannabis experts. Look for the link in the show notes. Unless otherwise proven by a reputable third-party lab test, please regard all street weed as contaminated. It may do grave harm to a patient with a delicate immune system who already has inflammatory issues like arthritis, IBS, fibromyalgia, or worse. Thank you so much for your time today. I hope you find value and understanding through the conversations you've heard on this podcast.